G'day guys and welcome to my lab and to this our third episode in our Make Monkey Fracas Jr. in Godot 4 tutorial series. In this one we're going to be adding
a laser.
We're going to be making a new scene called laser.tscn as well as the script for that. We're going to need our laser PNG and our laser MP3, and we're also going to play around in our player script so that we can actually shoot. All right, so here's where we got up to in our last effort. Let's just give it a quick play so we don't forget what we're doing. So we've got our up and down movement and our auto scrolling as well as our mirrored and parallaxed background. That is what we are up to so far, and in this one, like I said, we're going to add in our laser, and then the next one will be our planets and so on and so forth. So let's get to work. So we're going to click our plus sign to create a new scene, and this scene is going to have a root node of an area 2D. Now we're going to rename that area 2D node to be called laser, as you would expect, and then it has got to have two nodes. There we go, we're getting there. Those two nodes are going to be a sprite 2D, so that we've got an image, and also a collision shape, because our area 2D requires a collision shape. So let's do that. So we're going to click in our root node, which is called laser. We're going to click the plus to create a new node, and we're going to do our collision shape first, because our area 2D requires a collision shape. We're going to click back on our laser. We're going to click plus again, and we're going to look for a sprite 2D. So that's what we need for this one so far. Let's start with our sprite 2D. So we're going to need to grab our laser.png asset. So find your laser.png. If you haven't already downloaded all of the assets, then I highly recommend that you get those all put into your assets folder. But we can do it one at a time. So I'm going to grab my laser, I'm going to drag it into my assets folder. It's then going to, for some reason, put it in my scenes folder, and I'll move it again. All right, there we go. Now it's where it's meant to be. So we've got our sprite 2D selected. We've got our textures empty at the moment. Let's grab that new sprite that we just dropped in there, laser.png, and drag it into that empty spot. There we go. So that is our laser. Now we can do that collision shape. So click on our collision shape, come across to our inspector where it says shape and empty, click on empty and go down and find your rectangle collision shape, and let's just make it match. Stretch it out and down like that. All right. So there is our collision shape. So we want to save this one now as a scene called laser.tscn. Excellent. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually give our laser a script. So let's click on our root node. Let's click on the add script up here, the white scroll with the green plus. We don't need a template for this one, and we don't want it to save in the scenes folder. We want it to save in the scripts folder. All right, so let's create that. Now, rather than boring you to death, I am going to copy and paste the code in because I'm a terrible typer as it is. All right, let's read through what we've got happening here. So we've got our speed variable and our lifetime variable. Our lifetime variable is because we don't want our laser beam to live indefinitely and just continue on traveling. We're going to give it a 3-second max. So in our ready function is the function that runs when we first instantiate a scene, when our scene first starts. We want to add our laser to the group laser. We want to create a new timer, and we're going to actually make timers in 2 different ways in this series, just to show you there are 2 different ways of doing it. One is through the code and one is through creating nodes. So in this one we'll use code, in the next one we'll do some nodes. All right, so we've got our new variable called timer, and that is going to be a new timer. Now remember, if you hold control or command and hover over, you'll find that there are things you can click on. So timer is one of those things that you can create in code, or you can create it over here. Let me just close that. So we've got creating our timer. We're giving it a wait time, which will be equal to our lifetime, which is up here. Our one shot is turned on to be true. And then we're just connecting that. So adding the child timer and starting our timer. So our laser, basically, whenever a laser is made, we start this timer. In our process function, this is just to make sure it goes the right direction. And then when our timer runs out, we want to queue free. And down here on area entered, well, we need to signal this through. So we do that by clicking on our area 2D node. And then what we want to do is signal it here. So we click on our nodes list over next to our inspector. Oops, got to click on our laser again. And then area 2D entered. So double click on that. And then this will get a little green marker down here showing it's connected. All right. I think that's all we need to do in our laser script. So let's save that and head to our player script now, because there's a bit we need to change over there as well. The first thing we're going to do in our player script is actually add in a variable up the top, which tracks basically the laser script. So we need to be able to instantiate this laser scene through doing something with our player. So we need a way of knowing what scene that is. So what we're going to do here is add a variable called laser scene, and it is going to preload that particular scene for us. So scenes laser.tscn, which is what we've done down here. Scenes laser.tscn, right? So we're preloading that up there. The next thing we need to do is have a way of actually shooting. So we're going to use an input function for that. Just bear with me whilst I get this ready. And copy this one over. And when I do, you'll notice that there's something else we're going to have to do as well. So let's come down. We'll put this below our move and slide and paste that in. Oops, that's gone over. That's fine there. So, couple of issues straight off the bat, right? Shoot laser doesn't even know what this is because we haven't made it. And also we've got this laser play. What is going on here? So, a couple of things we need to do in our player scene to make all this work. So let's click on our player as well. Click on our player's root node, and we're going to add an audio stream player 2D, and we're going to rename that audio stream player 2D to be laser. All right. With your audio stream player 2D selected, get your inspector menu up, and you'll notice that we've got a stream that is empty. So we now need our other asset, which was the laser.mp3. So let's drag that into our assets as well. And that one actually went to the right spot for once. That's lovely. And we want to grab that laser MP3 and put it into that empty on our stream. And I also want to actually turn the volume down on this because we don't want it to be too loud. So I'm making that negative 10 dB. All right. So we still have one error to deal with, and that is this shoot laser. So let's go down and make our shoot laser now. So we want a function, and it's going to be called shoot laser. Okay. Now our shoot laser function is going to need a few bits added in. So let's grab those, bring them over, and add them in. All right, we don't need that print function there, to be honest. What have I done? I've done it twice. Well done. All right. There we go. So our laser, we're going to instantiate our laser scene. So just bear in mind as well, in Godot 4, this is different to Godot 3. In Godot 3, this would be instance. In Godot 4, it's instantiate. And if you use ChatGPT at all to help with your coding, this one is one thing that ChatGPT does not know. It always goes with the older one. An offset, so we want to be able to make sure that when we shoot the laser, it doesn't come out of the inside of the ship. So 50 is probably a bit big. Let's set it to 30. Laser position is just going to be wherever it is plus that, wherever our player is plus that offset, so 30 pixels in front of our player, and then we just want to get the parent and add it in. So that is that bit done. Let's save that. So our next step is going to be to test it and make sure that when we hit the space bar, which is our UI accept, I didn't explain that, did I? UI accept is already mapped in our Godot 4 engine to the space bar. I think there's a couple others as well, like maybe enter as well. But in theory, this now works. So we've saved it. Let's run it and see if I'm right. So we're moving, we can hit the space bar and we get a laser beam, we get the audio for it as well, and we can still move. So that is perfect. That is the end. So let's have a look at our must may might so you don't forget anything. All right, what you must get done to keep pace is create that laser scene and script, adding all the nodes you need, the area 2D, collision shape, sprite 2D. You also need to edit the player script, adding in the function so that we can shoot, as well as the deets in there, including the audio stream player 2D. So you've got to add those assets as well. What you may like to do is experiment with changing the laser, because it's literally just a pink rectangle I made. So I'm sure you can make something that looks way cooler and just substitute it. And what you might like to do is experiment with some of the variables like the speed, the offset, all those sorts of things to get a bit of a feel of how those work. And the quote I'd like to leave you with this time is for my Russian friends, and that's from Fyodor Dostoevsky. And he said, "A society should not be judged by how well it treats its outstanding citizens, but by how well it treats its criminals." Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.